Episode 2. Let's get it. So, you're seeing these videos as separate, disjointed things. I'm filming them all at one time. It is currently 6 a.m. on Easter. Uh, my wife and boys haven't woken up. I actually have the baby monitor in my ear. I struggle to find time to do anything related to this process. So it's one of those things. I'm an early bird. I got to take advantage. So you're going to see this probably chopped up. You might see me in the same outfit. You might see me in different outfits. I don't have a plan. We're running through this. Let's change the country. All right. So the series is titled America, Maybe It's Time to Renew Our Vows. So, first, we need to establish what are our vows. I had a great conversation with a good friend, Will, and he talked about the creation of a party that is meant to unify America. I hope to have him on camera one day and have the discussion that we had. I'm very fortunate to have some amazing friends who are extremely intelligent, who are open and talk about politics. I think I've been able to shape my views because of these people who don't necessarily share the same political affiliation as me, but are extremely intelligent and talk on a personal level about why they believe the things that they do. I'm not going to say exactly which party I think Will is a part of. I don't like putting labels on people. I will let speak for himself, but Will is a loving, amazing guy, and I don't think that I could see him having voted for Donald Trump. So I may cut that out. We'll see. Anyway, what are our vows? This is the second part of my series. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America, the preamble to the U.S. Constitution. It's common in American culture to exchange vows during a wedding ceremony. As a wedding officiant, I was fortunate enough to witness this moment for two amazing couples. I was able to see a special point of view that most people never see. The couple to be wed normally just sees each other. It's generally a very intimate moment where one or both make promises or concessions in hopes of making their bond stronger. They outline their intentions and what they will do for the duration of the marriage. The audience, much like the marriage, uh, the audience, much like the officiant, also is able to see them share this moment. What made my perspective unique is to see the audience and the couple experience this moment. I'm very fortunate to not have gone through a divorce at the time of this writing, but that moment and recording. But that moment has to be a factor in deciding when it's time to call it quits, right? Well, in my analogy, the bride and the groom are the United States and the American government and the American people. I think that makes the audience the world and the officiant the founding fathers. The writers, the writer of the preamble establishes who is speaking. We, the people, is you, the citizen. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity is the purpose. Finally, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That's the action. The government's foundation is our promise to do the things listed in the preamble. I'm not writing today to debate what those entail. I just think it's important to establish what lofty ideals we started with versus what we are living up to today. As I continue to read this series, I want to paint a picture of unity. A national divorce is a topic that comes up frequently when folks feel underrepresented or feel powerless in the swinging political pendulum. Some feel we are headed towards some big fracture or may already be there, and it may not look like the last time the union needed a break. I don't mean to make light of the Civil War, the deadliest war in our history, but it is our history, and in order for us all to share the freedoms afforded in the Constitution, it's important that it happened. That sort of breakup is something that other countries have not recovered from. It's not something we want to see if we will survive again. Not again we want to play. Next, I'll briefly cover what the Union was founded on, the philosophical ideas the preamble calls for versus the brutal reality of America in the late 1700s. So, this section, I'm trying to lay out my viewpoint. I'm coming this as an officiant, and I wanted to basically make this essay as a way of how do we unify? My wife and I don't have the same beliefs on every single topic. Our friends, our family, all these people don't agree. You could find MAGA people on her side. You may find, statistically speaking, there's probably one of my family members that is MAGA. They don't feel comfortable talking in our family spaces. So I don't know who they are, but statistically speaking, you're going to find, you know, there are people who are probably socialists on my wife's side of the family. I know there are socialists on my side of the family. So, the marriage is one of those beautiful things where people come together because of love, and you have this environment of unity. Uh, I fell in love with who I fell in love with, not necessarily because of her race, although that played a factor in who I was attracted to. Not gonna, beef with that argument, but we are different people, we are different cultures, and I think our wedding to me was one of those things that exemplify what I want to do. We all exist in the society together, and if we try to continue to segregate ourselves, we will we can't expect our country to integrate if we aren't willing to integrate ourselves. I'm not telling you to use your relationship as a way to integrate. I'm just saying if you're not willing to do something in your family, there's no reason to expect the country to do that on its own. And integration isn't just race, it's religion, it's culture, it's class. Um, One of the good books to read is Cast. I'm skipping on the author's name. Highly recommend reading Isabella Wilkerson. And sorry, my southern's gonna come out. I can't say some words. I blame my mom. We moved all over the South, so my accent isn't uniquely deep South. I've heard way worse from friends I've grown up with, but uh, I'm a fuck up pronunciation. Anyway, so marriage is something that unites people, and I think people talking about a national divorce, if it's this soft thing that we'll reconcile our different, or we can't reconcile our differences, we need to split up. We won't survive a civil war as a country in the future. The war will not be between states. The states were very powerful at the time of the Civil War, and they compelled people in a way that I don't think states could do today. Your red state is a red rural area and a very small blue city center, maybe multiple city centers. Your blue state is a very big ass socialist blue center and not as many, you know, rural people. That's that's the composition of the political spectrum in our country. And to think that, hey, we're gonna have this revolution, we're not gonna survive. You are gonna have neighbor versus neighbor in a true, genuine way of this person is not safe because they disagree with me politically when we have a two-party system. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to keep this one short. This essay was short. Basically, who's the person doing the thing? What's the thing they're doing? And what's the action that solidifies, hey, I'm committed to this? And wedding officiating, I'm ordained through the Church of Life, and there's a guidebook about how to write kind of the vows. They kind of just show it to you, but you have keep my hands out the camera. Anyway, you have two different, you know, parties that are talking to each other in front of all these witnesses, and the whole world can see what the fuck we're doing right now. I'm a Panic at the Disco fan. We can't close the door right now because this shit's on social media and everybody in the world knows what's happening in our country. And it's not the best thing to air out our dirty laundry, but like one of our parties is absolutely batshit crazy. So getting that from this. Anyway, we're here. So I don't think we should have this mentality of we're headed towards a divorce. I think we should have this mentality of how do we heal from where we're going? How do we get back to committing to do the things that we intended to do as a people? And how do we hold the government, you can say bridegroom, whoever, how do we hold the government accountable to hold up its end of the bargain? So that is part two. And you can find this on Substack. I don't think I did that in the first video. The full essay, you can read it yourself. I'll link it in every video, but you're going to see that on the Substack. Highly recommend. Check it out. This was the section that is What Are Our Vows? Catch you next time.